I am Eduardo Ferreira. I'm a Brazilian, about to become American citizen, pretty close to that, and I'm a 50 years old. My signs of struggle basically, a few years ago, I was traveling. I was in a business trip, and I started feeling dizzy, and I thought I would pass out. I was at the airport, and then what happened at that time, I just kind of hold the chair just to be sure that I wouldn't pass out. And then when I came back home, we went to the doctor and we found that I had a pretty rare disease. It's called polycythemia vera, which is a sort of a blood cancer. So polycythemia vera it's a very rare disease. And it doesn't have a cause. It's a result of a mutation. So as you know, we have cells and chromosomes in our body, right? And in my case, there's one specific one which it works like a switch on and off button. And your spine basically gives you blood in the three types of it, right? You have blood cells, red cells, plasma. And what happened in this case is it keeps the balance of your body on it. In my case, what happens is it produces red blood cells, but it never stops. So it becomes like a very sort of thick blood because of a lot of more production of red cells instead of the other ones. And then what happens is you just imagine like a pipe, right? You have a pipe, and when you flow water into that pipe, eventually it's gonna get completely floated, right? So in that case, what the disease does is keep producing, or my spine keep produces my red blood cells, and then it keeps pushing those blood cells into my organism. It is definitely, I've done some big changes, I guess, in that sense. One is I used to travel a lot. So, and the job that I have, which is the same as before, I just changed the way I was doing my job. So I used to travel pretty much almost every week, and international flights. So I used to go all over Latin America. I'm a soccer fan as a Brazilian. So I just stopped being crazy at soccer because I used to get too nervous about it. And then obviously my blood would circulate much more, and that was not a good thing to do. So I decided to change that format of life. And I pretty much started, getting a guitar, playing music, doing some fun. So there are two things that actually hit my head pretty hard, I would say, in that moment. The first one is when I spoke to the hematologist, this number I mentioned before, hemoglobin, in regular cases it flows, if I'm not mistaken, between 13 and 16, 17. It's like high hemoglobin numbers. And when I spoke to my doctor, the hematologist, he said I was 24.3. And he looked at me and said, I have never seen anyone alive with this number. So that thing actually hit me a lot.
He told us, look, I don't know how you're still alive. You are the worst patient that I got with those numbers. I never saw someone alive with numbers like this.
At that point, when he told me things like that, I said, okay, this needs to be changed in some way, right? So that was basically like the main thing that hit me first. And then obviously the second thing is, it's a normal reaction for people nowadays. You go and research about it. So I definitely went on the internet and I started looking, and it says this is a disease that people have 5 years alive. But it's something that usually is found in people with 80s or 90 years. And I said, well, 5 years, I think I can do more than that. After I got diagnosed, then one thing is reduce stress. So then I said, what can I do for that? Then I come back to my joke on the soccer thing. I kind of gave up because then it was letting me to be too stressful. The second thing is we need a better quality of life. So we decided to move to Parkland since it's a better city and in our case, very more calm than the place we were living on. When this thing happened, then definitely this was a thing that we changed completely. I stopped traveling as much. I do eventually because my job requires eventually to do. But even my management understood that and said, okay, stay home with them all, right? Because this is something that really makes you rethink about something. And as the other example is like really when you decide like vacation trips, you just do for everyone. It's not just saying, oh, I wish I could go to that place. Nah, I used to be like that, probably. Maybe when they were two kids, my son and my daughter, they couldn't decide where to go. But before that, we used to decide exactly. Nowadays, we can say, hey, what do you think about this place? So those are when you start relating more and more with family, I guess.
I knew that I had to be positive, because I had like young kids and I'm away from my family in the middle of the pandemic, because this was like by the end of 2019.
I think it's more like focusing on what makes you happy, right? This is definitely something that changed in my behavior. Before I was very hard work intensive. It doesn't mean that I'm not now, I'm just doing differently. So I'm making it in a smarter way.
So it was really scary because I thought, okay, he's gonna die and my kids are gonna grow up without a dad. Because the doctor was clear, like he could go to sleep and maybe he's not gonna wake up. When I first heard about his diagnosis, I thought, okay, we don't have much time with him. So like pretty quick, we couldn't see anyone, we couldn't be with anyone, my family couldn't come. So I thought, okay, I'm here just with my kids, we are inside this house, and we just need to take care of him because I don't know what's gonna happen.
If I think about achieving a stressful-free life or getting closer to family, it is something that I believe you'll never be 100% onto that, right? It can always be better. So that's kind of the feeling, right? Everything can always be better. And I believe that you need to keep a positive attitude on just looking for it better. There are good days and bad days. That's what the reality is. Just like in a normal life or in a diseased life, let's say, right?